then populated. It then means also that everyone is represented equally. It ensures that men and women have the same opportunity. The task force was also formulated on the background that there are challenges for women who face both formal and informal barriers to their participation, including nomination procedures, violence with hypermasculine cultures. So the gender task force seeks to address these issues. The gender task force also presents a potential opportunity to break non-participation patterns because so many young women, I speak from a constituent of the youth, so I'll speak also on behalf of the young women. They shy away from politics most of the times because of the culture that I've mentioned. But this gender parity task force seeks to build confidence and seeks to eliminate the gender gap by increasing women's leadership position. Also capacitating fellow women rather than being previously the crybaby mentality that we want to be included, but it then seeks to go further to actually capacitate that woman so that we also have women of substance in leadership position. So we are moving to levels of capacity, and you will find that the gender task force will move again to levels of actually being external, where we speak to these issues as we have already been doing issues to do with child marriages, sexual harassment, and making education gender sensitive. I think for now, this is what I just have to add on top of what the VP has said.
Oh, thank you very much, Cecilia. I think we do have the other supporting speakers. We have Ellen and Kudzi. If you can both just request the mic at the bottom left corner of the screen, that would be helpful because I cannot add you on if you have not requested the mics. So I think at this point, maybe I can also just ask Cecil Shizai to also get his mic on. If he can request the mic, then that would also be helpful. SG, would you like to say anything before I add this guys on, and we can then try to open it to the floor?
Okay, thank you very much for this platform. I have just very brief remarks. My office is just there to ensure that this important resolution is implemented, because what we have seen is that most political problem is the implementation. So they become very useless if they are just there on paper, but they are not being implemented. So what we have said is we have said this year we must support the women, because one of the major problems that we have been having in the party is that when you call for women candidates, they don't show up in most of the cases. One is not because of them, but I think it's also because of the nature of our politics. So as the party, what we have tried to do is, because most of the processes in the past, political processes, have included a lot of violence, and this case a lot of women. So what we have done is that since we came into office, we have tried as much as possible to eliminate violence in our internal processes, and it has seen we've seen a major reduction in cases where people fight internally for politics. We have adopted a zero tolerance of internal violence. We have expelled people that have engaged in that. So it has helped. And also, internally also, the times that we have political meetings are also important, because most of the meetings are held at 6 o'clock in the evening, and it disadvantages women. So we have also sought to address that as a party. But what we are trying to do is we are trying to identify as many candidates as possible, train them and capacitate them and mentor them. We are going to look for women who can mentor them. So, and so then also at the end of the period, ensure that these women are also supported financially to run credible political campaigns, because we are not seeking donations or sympathy. The policy is there, but we also want to ensure that we bring forward quality candidates that can compete equally, because the 50% is already there. But we want to make sure that we have got more women candidates, because this is where I know that we are going to have a huge fight with some of my colleagues, the men. Because what we have insisted is that even in the safe seats that we have, where we win by more than 90%, like in Harare, we also want 50% there. We also want 50% also in the tough constituencies. So it's going to be 50-50 everywhere. But at the end of the day, because we are so confident of the program that we are running, that we are going to ensure that we have more than 50% women standing up and actually being elected and deployed to parliament. So lastly, we also want to open up this whole process to the citizens. I think we have heard our president has repeatedly said that this election, the candidates must not only come from the party, they must come from the community. So with this program, we are also appealing even to people who are here, as long as you are progressive, you are for change, you support Advocate Nelson Chamisa and his movement, you are free to apply and join this training program, because at this stage it's just a training and capacitation program. So you can contact our office with your CV. We vet all the candidates, then we put you through the training, so that when it comes to the time of election, then wherever you come from, you can then just offer yourself there and be elected by the citizens. So those are just a few remarks, but I'm just here to take notes and also just to reiterate our support as the main body of the party, that we are supporting our women. We want to ensure that we have more women leaders in parliament and in all local authorities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I thank you very much for those wonderful words. I think it is very important that one thing that you keep reiterating is maybe women have been shying away from leading or from taking up any positions of influence, but it seems like you are opening up the arms, right? You're opening up your arms as a political organization, which is MDC Alliance, and encouraging women of all ages and of all height, shapes, and sizes to come in and to convene and to also have an opportunity to be heard. So I think at this particular point, what I'll do is I will open up the floor, because we have quite a lot of requests, and I think most would be questions. So I will also try to add the VP back on, but I think she's struggling with her network. But I'm sure Cecilia and the SG, and if we can have the supporting speakers to also just request for the mics, and then you can give your contribution and you can help us to also tackle some of the questions that will be coming forward. But thank you. So I will first give the mic to Barbara. If you can just go ahead, that would be great.
Thank you so much. Good evening, viewers, all protocol observed. My name is Barbara. I'm the spokesperson for the Women's Assembly of Women. I just want to add our voice as the Assembly of Women. We embraced this task force because we were happy that at last we are going to have a body that is going to implement all the resolutions, be it of Congress, be it of or National Council, because like SG alluded to say, it's one thing putting something in writing something down, and it's another thing implementing the issue. So we are very happy that the issue of gender equality balance is going to be the thing of the past in the MDC Alliance, as we are going to be recognized and we are going to occupy the space as women. We currently we embraced the program for Zimbabwe Gender Commission, which is they are going to train or capacitate women in leadership, like in political parties. So we embraced that one, and we are going to participate in this initiative. We are going to have more women being trained and capacitated by this Zimbabwe Gender Commission. So it came at the right time when we were looking for women who can take up spaces like to be councillors and MPs. So yeah, we are happy as the Assembly of Women, and we we are looking forward to 2023, and we know that we are going to achieve this gender equality, especially when there is this task force that is that has been uh, formed by MDC Alliance. And what also makes us happy is the composition of this gender task force. It actually has got more women than men to show that the party is gender sensitive, and the party is eager to see more women taking up spaces. We know women, they are there, but most of them, they are scared. Most of them, they are afraid. Most of them, they don't have confidence, because in politics, you know, it's a, like people say, politics is it's a dirty game. But me, I always say politics is not a dirty game. It's you who chooses it to be dirty. The players, they choose to make it dirty so that they can scare. They scare a lot of people. They scare women. They even scare young people, because there are some people who still embrace patriarch. We know that Zimbabwe is still patriarchal, but although there are some a few men who who embracing this gender equality. So we are encouraging, like SGA said, we are encouraging more women to come and join us, be part of MDC Alliance. As the spokesperson for women, I'm inviting every woman who is there, who has not looked into taking politics as a career, politics as a game changer, politics as the one that will bring us independence. Because if we leave ZANU-PF doing their own things, then we are not going to achieve whatever we are looking for. We don't want a scenario whereby when MDC gets into government, we then start to look for women and maybe do like what Robert Mugabe said when he was appointing more men than women in cabinet, to say, this is the time we are looking for those women. We don't want tomorrow to be said, there were no women. That's why we didn't put them. And for sure, there will be no women, because women are there, but they are scared. So this is the time to build confidence. This is the time. We are also asking the women's organizations, if they are here, please, can you please consider us? Can you please consider women, train them, capacitate them, so that they can have confidence. I know there are women were born leaders. Women are good in leadership, but they only need to build their self-esteem. They only need to be capacitated. They only need to be, even to further their studies. We know most of the women out there, they never had an opportunity to go to school because of this girl child, boy child thing. So we are looking for what, even the young women, we are looking forward to see more young women coming up, so that tomorrow atizonzi MDC yakazara machembere havasi kuconsider vana vasikana, ivo vasikana vacho vasingadi kuuya pamberi kuti vatore mapositions. I think this is as far as I can go. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Barbara. Those are very wise words, and I do hope that with more listeners that are coming in, we are talking about the MDC Alliance Gender Task Force, and this is what Barbara is reiterating, that we need more women, young and old, to all come together and to be able to help the party to move forward. I see that one of our speakers, our supporting speakers, Precious, she has just joined. Precious, you can take the mic. I also noticed we had another speaker, but she dropped. I will try and add her on.
Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay. As you have said, my name is Precious Ndlovu. I'm part of the the Smart Gender Drive Task Force. And my point is, I would like to applaud the party, the MDCA, for coming up with the Smart Gender Drive Task Force, and to thank the president himself, who endorsed and who is the brains behind the task force. Because as a party, we realized that we have more women. Women are there in the party, very powerful women, very clever women, and very confident women are there in the party, but they are not taking up leadership positions. Why? It's not because women are scared, as some people are saying, or women are not able to lead, but it's because of the patriarchal nature of our system as a society, not only in Zimbabwe, but world over. Our patriarchal nature of our societies is the one that hinders women from taking up political positions. If you look closely, you see with most political parties, they MDCA included, women are in numbers. They are more than men, but they are reduced
Is Precious still on?
She has gone quiet. I think you can go to another speaker.
Oh, that's okay. Precious, if you can just drop off and come back on, I will try and add you back. I think we can have Elshri. If it's a question or if you'd like to give a contribution, this is the time. Just and I think it's Ellen.
Okay. Yes, can you hear me now?
Ellen, that's your account. Yes, please go ahead. Ellen is one of our speakers. Please go ahead and take the mic.
No, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Once again, my name is Ellen Shiriedenga. I'm the National Deputy Secretary for Elections. And my primary role in the Smart Gender Task Force is to ensure that the issues of gender are actually incorporated into our electoral processes. I'll not dwell much on the challenges that are being faced by women out there. However, I'll just speak to the electoral issues pertaining women participation in elections and also in the MDC Alliance. As a party and also as a country, we have laws that are there to emancipate women, and clearly we have adequate laws when it comes to those stages. But now the challenge is with regards to the political will, which that's the problem that we've been grappling with as women. As the MDC, for example, we have a constitution that speaks to equal representation of women in in our party structures and also in other facets. But then when there's a problem when it comes, there's always been a problem when it comes to implementation. So that is the challenge which the party has encountered, and this is why this gender task force came into place. So what we are saying now, yes, we have a constitution, but now there were previously challenges with the political will. But this change of mindset and from our party leadership, particularly our male counterparts, and them supporting this gender task force is an indication of a transformation with regards to political will. And that political will, as the task force, we want to ensure that it actually cascades down to lower structures. At national level, I think we are all at par. We've agreed, and there was a lot of excitement when the gender task force the idea was muted. But now we have a lot of work to do with regards to our structures down there, particularly with the attitudes that have always prevailed over the years. So that's the challenge that we are faced with. And when it comes to particularly on the issue of candidate selection, we have seen women facing a lot of challenges. For example, aspects to do with sexual harassment of women, and whenever, say, also a woman wants to stand up as a candidate, personal stuff about her, which is dirty. Sometimes you see that stuff circulating in the public media and stuff like that, and people talking about personal issues about those women. So those are some of the issues that deter women. But also, what we are saying is the gender task force. We want to actually help each other as a party to see how best we can actually transform those attitudes so that women become confident and more progressive. And if you look at our candidate selection, it's an issue that you stand up there and fight on your own. But we are saying, as the women of the MDC Alliance, we've received requests, and also from the Elections Directorate, we have received requests from from the women in our structures to say, as you consider the new candidate laws, you should ensure that we adhere to our 50-50 the gender parity as a party. So this is one issue that we are looking into as the Elections Directorate, to say how best we can ensure that women are equally represented as we select our candidates for the 2023 elections. And also, when talking of political will, as a party, we have said we are 50-50. And as a country, this is what we are advocating for nationally. This is primarily the reason why we are against the constitutional amendments, which, for example, for local government, advocates for the 30% quota for women, and also the extension of the 60 seats for women. Yes, we say it helps in increasing the number of women in parliament and in local government. But then at the end of the day, it's a step back when we're considering the issue of coming up with our 50-50 gender parity as a nation. So we are saying, let's, instead of focusing on a quota system, where women are given a specific quota, which is not 50-50, why not sit down, come up with a mechanism as a country to ensure that there's 50-50 representation? For example, looking at constituency seats, the 210 constituency seats, we can say, okay, fine, these 105 seats, they are for women, and the 105 for our male counterparts, or even so at the very minimum can have our 50% seats as women. And then we have sort of a rotational a seat rotational kind of a system, whereby we say for this for 2020-23, these seats that have been occupied by women, and then as we go to the next election, 2028, those seats that were occupied by women, they rotate and be occupied by our male counterparts. So this is why I'm saying, as much as, yes, we want the numbers of women increased in parliament or in local government, but we want a system whereby we are able to ensure our 50-50 representation. This is why, as the MDC Alliance, we are considering and advocating for a seat rotational kind of a system. And more so, women representation is not just us, getting women out there and saying, no, you can stand for council, you can actually stand for parliament. Just picking women and putting them there in positions of decision making. We are not saying that. What we want as a task force as well is to ensure that as much as we're going to have equal representation, but that representation should be meaningful. And we are hoping that women that we identify, the women that we mentor, are able to actually deliver in accordance to the expectations of the electorate, the citizens, and the party as a whole. Because the challenge that has been there was, which we have always been criticized of as women, is that we advocate for participation of women, but at the end of the day, we are told, no, the women that you advocated for, they are not delivering. That has always been one challenge that we are facing. But we're saying, okay, fine, as much as you are saying that they are delivering, they are not delivering. But then we have our male counterparts as well that are not delivering at all. Why not? Why are you not criticizing them? So now this is why we are saying, as a party, as much as we emphasize on women that deliver, there is an aspect of a meaningful representation. That's why we are emphasizing on mentoring and ensure that we come up with leadership development programs to ensure that these women perform in accordance to expectations. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Ellen. That was quite insightful. I noticed that we have been joined by Patricia Chinyoka. If you can unmute your mic and take and speak.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak. So I'm Patricia Chinyoka, the MDC Alliance UK and Ireland spokesperson. And I just had a few comments that I wanted to share, but not asking any questions. So first of all, I wanted to start by saying that women are capable and confident to hold leadership positions. A lot of research has been done in this respect. For example, McKinsey, which talks about the benefits of having women at the top, and the fact that they bring something different to the table. So that difference of thought, when we look at diversity, is really critical and important, hence why they must be around the table. And so the full and active participation of women in legislatures, and should be equal to men, and it should just not be a goal in itself, but it should be central to building and sustaining democracies, because everybody brings something different to the table. The notion that women don't want to get involved in politics, I think, is a bit misplaced, because they do. But I think what happens is that there are many barriers that get in the way of them getting there. And some of these barriers have already been alluded to by SG Hwende, and they include structural barriers. So this is around the time that women need to get out there to be campaigning and to be doing party business that may get in the way of them succeeding. And so what parties need to do is to ensure that some of those barriers are minimized. And there's also the cultural aspect that SG Hwende touched on. And this is how women are treated, the misogyny, the prejudice that goes on. Sometimes the way that women are viewed as people that should stay home and not be out there holding senior positions within politics. Another key thing is the lack of role models. If people don't see people that look like them, sound like them, they are less likely to want to get involved. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done in order to highlight the role models that exist today within the MDC Alliance. And I just wanted to say thank you very much to Alex Magaisa for something that he did yesterday when he did a shout out about the women within the MDC Alliance party. As a result of that, I've gained nearly 60 followers. So that male allyship, those shout outs are really, really important because they encourage, and other women that are interested in coming to participate, they see that and they will want to come and put themselves forward. The other things around the pipeline, how do you build the pipeline to ensure that the younger women are coming in, or that any woman of any age, because we need to be also careful about being ageists, where we focus on one demography of age and leave others out. So this should be about capability regardless of age. Although, encouraging the youth and young women to come forward is critical. And then there's the attraction piece, and that links into those cultures. If the cultures are not welcoming, the women are less likely to come. So a lot of work needs to be done in that area. And then the mentoring that the SG talked about, the sponsorship is really critical. I just wanted to end by talking about the socialization process, and which is a big issue. And so this is how we raise our children in the homes, and the gendered roles that the girls and boys grow up doing. So if you're a parent and you have children, boys and girls, what are you saying to those children? How are you raising them? What is most likely to happen is that girls are taught to stay home and to do the housework, and the boys perhaps are taught to do other tasks that are considered to be more male oriented, and that in itself leads to the boys and girls choosing different types of roles as they grow up. And what you find, and this is a global issue, by the way, so it's not just a Zimbabwe issue. When we talk about gender and the lack of gender balance, it's a global issue. And so we need to be thinking about starting from when the children are young. So talking to the girls from the age of 8, 9, talking to them about politics, talking to them about things that are out there, so that they are more exposed to different types of roles and they can make a choice when they grow up. And so those are just some of the little things I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patricia. That was very, very insightful. We have also been joined by Nancy. If you can just take the mic and just contribute in or whatever way you'd like to. Nancy, go ahead. You can unmute your mic.
Thank you, Jack. First, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So mine is a question. Considering that politics is masculine in nature, and that alone scares away women, especially young women. We've seen young women being subject to torture. For example, Joanna, Cecilia, and etc. They were abducted, they were intimidated, and that alone scares away young women in the political space. My question is, we have also witnessed rape and sexual violence during shutdowns, demonstrations, etc. from ZANU-PF. My question is, what are you doing as the gender task force to do with women victims and the gendered nature of political violence? How are you helping the victims of violence, and maybe through your social welfare desk, are you offering rehabilitation and support to victims of political violence? Also, are you helping women out there to realize the better side of politics? Because right now, I feel young women are becoming scared of politics because it's toxic in nature and fear of bitter people, especially women. They need to compete with men for the space. So my question is, how are you as a task force and maybe a social welfare desk supporting women, young women, and encouraging them to take up the space regardless of the nature of politics in Zimbabwe?
Thank you very much, Nancy. The VP is here. If you can unmute your mic and head the question on.
Thank you very much. Are you hearing me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Thank you very much, Nancy, for that question. Firstly, as a party, we've got policies which are in place. I can safely say we have got one important policy which I can highlight to you. The first one is the issue of sexual harassment policy in our party. If you remember the last time we met is with the CSOs, including other political parties. And I'm happy that as a party, we were the one with the issue of the policy of sexual harassment, and we have got a desk in our party to make sure that if there is anything to do with the issue of sexual harassment, if there is anything to do with affirmative action, if there is anything to do with any political harassment, that desk is there to make sure that it also assists women. We have got also the social welfare desk, which is being monitored by our Secretary for Social Welfare, Maureen Kademaunga. And for those who know her, she has been doing a lot to make sure that those who are harassed, I can safely say the likes of Joa and Cecilia and Nethai with other women around there. That desk is doing a lot in terms of counseling, in terms of warfare, to make sure that we also give them support. And the standing committee on its own again is also helping in terms of trying to make sure that we also collaborate with other organizations to help us in terms of counseling and in terms of psychosocial activities. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, VP, for taking on that question. I see we have been joined by Ella. If you can go ahead with your contribution or question.
Hi, thank you, Dark Horse Girl. And good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My question centered around some of what has been shared by the panelists. Now, I think it's all good that we have all these things set up and we've formulated all these great things. They sound really great. My problem is just on the implementation part of it. How are you going to implement these things? How do you see to it that women are not being taken advantage of, abused, or sidelined? And furthermore, my second question is, do you have, I'm not sure if, I didn't quite get some of what the VP, hello VP, Lynette Corey said, but my second question was, do you have a harassment, do you have like a sexual harassment task force as well, where women can report these things, a safe place for women to report some of these things that are centered around the whole, gender equality and things of that nature, instead of just one place where all kinds of issues go and probably it's male dominated, and then things of that nature can tend to die there. So those are my two questions.
Thank you very much, Ella. I will direct the question to the VP. There are parts where you were just breaking a little bit, but I'm sure she must have gotten the important parts.
Oh, do you need me to repeat it?
No, it's okay. Let's just hear what she heard. If she did not, then she can kindly ask you to repeat the questions.
No, thank you very much. I think I heard you very well. The first question is about the implementation. How are we going to implement? Is it correct?
Yes.
Okay. I think in my briefing, the first one is this gender task force is going to go to the grassroots. Firstly, it's going to make sure that the implementation of it is being done from the local level, starting from our branches to our triple Cs. And what we are going to do is the gender task force is going to go to the whole country, to our 210 constituencies, and identify potential candidates. So what we are going to do, because we have already started it, we have already circulated a circular to our triple Cs
Good evening,
to
host.
identify the.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, SC Magaisa, if you can just mute your mic. We do have a speaker.
So the gender task force is going to make sure that after collection of all those names, we will make sure that we capacitate them, we mentor them, we give them knowledge to make sure that they can go and participate in our processes of the candidate selection. The other method which we are going to make sure that we implement it is, we have agreed that each and every month we make sure that we sit, we review our resolution and make sure that every candidate who is interested is already capacitated. For those who have not yet, then we will start to implement the resolution. On the issue of the desk, which you have asked about, those who have been, for example, if you are sexually harassed or if you have been treated unfairly, who is going to monitor that? That desk of the gender desk, which we have created, which also take charge of the issue of the sexual harassment policy, is the one in charge to make sure that if you have got any complaint, you go to them. But we did not even end there. We say if you have been treated unfairly, including that desk, you have got also the tribunal where you also go and report and make sure that you will be treated fairly. So you will start from the grassroots up to the national level to make sure that everything is implemented. But take it from me, from the start, I think we have tried by all means to listen to everyone. And I can safely say, so far, so good. For those who want to be capacitated, they are coming out openly and they are being capacitated. But for those who have got any complaint, for now, I think we are still okay. If they are out there, they are still, maybe they will still come to make sure that they will be treated fairly. Because at the moment, we have not yet received those kind of complaints. Besides those to say, we also need a fair ground for the issue of conducting our primary elections. And this time we are saying we will make sure that we implement our resolution and make sure that those who are participating, because we are not saying we only need safe seats or what, we are capacitating these women to go out there and contest the primary elections. So we are not simply saying Tipe Mahara, no. We are saying after capacitated, obviously you go out there and take charge and go for the primaries and win the election, because people will be confident enough to say this is our candidate. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that insightful response. Essie, if you can go ahead if you have a question or contribution.
Thank you very much for this platform. I think the Gender Task Force on 50-50 gender representation is a noble idea.
I think we lost Essie. If you can just request your mic again, your network just booted you out. Oh, she's back on. Please go ahead. Essie, if you can just go ahead. We've lost her again. Tadini, if you have a question, please go ahead.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for this amazing space. And I think the gender task is a noble idea. And I have mixed feelings about what I have heard. It's exciting and at the same time worrying. So I think the exciting part is that ladies are being emancipated and given more opportunities. That is always amazing, especially coming from a patriarchal system. Now, the worrying part is some of the things that I've heard. So I think when they mentioned, and including the VP, mentioned that the objective is to have more female representatives when it comes to election 2023. So I have a question as to why do we specifically have to have more representatives who are female? That's then in that question also, there is an issue to say that you said you would go to the different constituencies, then you would select women to empower. Right. Then after selecting women to empower, you present them as candidates. What if those constituencies do not want that specific woman that you have presented to them, or the group that you have selected? What if they specifically want a man? Right? What if they specifically want a man? So how are you going to select to say these constituencies of the 210, we're going to give these constituencies, half of the 210, these are the ones that we're going to give women, and this other half, that's the one that we're going to force men upon them. So you see, while it's a very noble idea, I see where it could have a lot of conflict. And I think when they did mention to say this is where you would have a lot of friction with men, of course, men are going to have friction with it in the sense to say you have created an organ to capacitate women within your political structures. And those political structures, you are clearly admitting that the men, they also are insufficient. So are you also creating an alternative to sort of like empower them in terms of their leadership quality also, right? And how are you going to deal with the issue of those provinces that do not want the women that you would have capacitated, whether you've identified them from the areas? How are you going to ensure that of the 210, half will become female and half will become male? And why do you specifically have to say in 2023 you want more female over male? What is the point of doing that? And I hear people talking about violence. I think when it comes to violence in politics, it's not segregative. It doesn't segregate to say it's more to female or male, more to male. A good thing I can say this today because it is a Marco Monday, and Marco happens not to be female. Right, and we can go on with the list. So I hope they can clarify for me that piece, and I hope I'm coming across clear. It's not that I have anything against the task force. It's what has been said about the task force and how it is being sold and how it is going to be implemented. Because right now, if as a man, it seems as if for you to empower women, you are taking a move to dispower another gender, which I think you can always empower another gender without dispowering the other. So, and my last point would be, again, if your answer to everything is to say we're going to create 50% for women and 50% for men by force or by empowering, is the way you're putting it, are you also going to create 50% for the young people, because they're also crying for that? Are you going to also include us in the 50%? We want to be 50% of the ruling structures or of the high echelons of power. How will you cater for that? Right. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tabini. That was a very long question, and I do hope that the VP will be able to break it down to be able to also help you out in understanding what the Gender Task Force is all about. VP, please take it away.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for that question. But allow me to say we are a social democrats, and equality is one of our code of values. And I'm happy that we are here as the Gender Task Force to make sure that we put it to reality. And our national constitution is very clear in terms of gender equality. So our constitution, again in Article 4, clearly talks about the issue of gender equality, the issue of 50-50. So as social democrats, our gender policy and its implementation should be a shining example. Our current situation in terms of numbers of women in leadership position leaves a lot to be talked about. You go to the issue of the local government, where we are coming from. It is such an example where the number of women who go through the issue of Kusaitama councillors, we have got less than 23%. And this task force was created to reverse all these issues. And what I can say is we need to tackle all the obstacles that has historically made us fail to achieve the issue of gender parity. This gender task force should achieve the issue of gender parity. We can go back to say we cannot run away to the issue of patriarchy. We cannot run away as we were growing up, including our families. Mwana msikana was not given this kind of opportunity kuti apedze chikoro semukomana. If you are honest with ourselves, you agree with me kuti in our homes taitonzi mwanasikana akuchinorodzwa, mukomana ndiye akubhadharwa school fees to go to the other level. So here is an opportunity where we are saying, let's now bring men and women close. They are supposed to walk side by side, and we are not enemies. We are not fighting. And as we are unpacking this issue of gender equality, we are saying as we go to those constituencies, we are not imposing any candidate. What we are simply doing is, as a party, we have realized that historically, the Zimbabweans, not only Zimbabweans, the whole world, women were lagging behind. Vakadzi vaisarira kumashure. So how are we going to do it? We have got these issues of Wanasido, we have got these issues of NGOs who are also advocating to say, let's now bring women. And if you are honest to yourselves, you agree with me, Kuti, where there is a woman, zvinhu zvinochinja, zvinhu zvinosiyana, zvinosenza zvakanaka. Not kuti I'm a woman, but to say madzimai can do it. So as a party, we are not going to impose any candidates. The reason why this gender task force is going to go out there to train women, to capacitate women, we are only coming there as a closing gap measure to say there is a woman out there who wants to contest, but that woman is afraid to contest, but she is talented to be a leader. So what we are simply going to do is to identify that woman, give her courage, try to capacitate that woman in terms of knowledge and confidence building. So that when we come to the issue of primary election, that woman will manage to face whatever challenge is going to come across. So we are not going to impose women. We are saying the training is going to capacitate that woman to face a primary election in that ward. So that woman is the one who is going to make sure that after giving her knowledge in terms of her rights, in terms of capacity building, in terms of everything, she will now go and work in that ward, in working what? In terms of development issues, in terms of environmental issues, in terms of anything. So that woman, when we go to the primary election, she is going to face another man, and that man and that woman and that other candidate will go for primary election. The task force now will produce the results to say, after receiving that knowledge, that woman can stand up and also fight for her own rights. And I also want to say, we are not saying after removing Murume Ipapo, then we are imposing with a woman. No, 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 no. We are not going to impose. What we are simply doing is the constitution is very clear, including the national constitution. So we are not just going to talk, but we are also going to work to make sure that we implement the constitution, because the constitution is very clear. So as a party, we are going to align that constitution. The reason why we are fighting to say, let's not take the issue of the proportional representation, like what Ellen said. This is what we are fighting for, to say, why don't we save the economy in terms of the issue of resources? Maria, ye PR, ye 66. Why don't we save it as a nation and throw it to the issue of the 210 seats? Because if you have got a 210 seats, why do we need an extra 60? Why don't we just align the constitution to 50-50 to make sure that we also save the nation in terms of the resources, the with the motkari, the kuma allowances? So our party here now is saying, we have got women out there. Why don't we capacitate them? We are not going to impose, and our president is always on air to say, this time around, we are not imposing. We are going to the community. That's why the Secretary General said candidates are going to come from the community. It's not only going to come from the party. So the capacitation from the gender task force is going to produce more women, because this time around, the reason why we are focusing on 2023, this is the election which is coming very soon. So the other past election, we cannot talk about it. We did not perform well. And as a party, we are saying we must improve from 2018 election to achieve 2023 women candidate selection. I think I've answered you very well. But the underlying word is we are not going to impose, because after capacitation, those women will have this ego to say, let's go and fight and let's go and take the space. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, VP. You have exhausted the points, and I do hope that Tabini has been answered. So if we're going to have questions, we have
we have a lot of young people, young women, for example, who are not part of the structures or anything within the alliance, right? But we have a lot of people, or of those people who have potential. And I do understand, and I heard you, if I heard you correctly, that, everyone, from all walks of life can actually come and join the women so that they can be capacitated in everything. But my question now is, if all those people, there are some who also have ambitions to run for positions, for constituencies and all those kind of things, what then will happen? Because I believe that the party has certain protocols to say you must be a member of the party for a certain period of time for you to be able to contest. How is that going to be tackled when it comes to people who are joining now? Maybe they were part of the movement, but they were not registered members for the period ranging to the time that is required for one to contest. So I think that we need clarity there so that all those also who wants to join can actually understand what they're getting themselves into. Let it be women or the young people who wants to get involved in this beautiful thing. Thank you so much. I think that would be my question.
Thank you very much. VP, you can take that on since the SG is not on the platform.
Thank you very much for that question. The truth is, we have got a policy in our party about the issue of candidate selection. So that policy must be implemented. And for those who doesn't fit in that policy, as you have rightly said, to say sometimes we have got some years to say you have to be 5 years being a member. The issue is, as the assembly of women, let me give an example of the past elections. We have been reaching out to the issue of the middle class women. In this, we are including those who have got some, like, there are some people who are in the civic society, in the NGOs, in the business community. We have been having an opening door policy to say some are afraid to come out in open, but one way or the other, that person will be supporting the party behind the scene. I can give you an example of the 2013 election, where we included others from the civic society. I can say one example is Honorable Fenichi Risa. Honorable Fenichi Risa was the director of WIPS at that time. But when she approached us, and when we realized that she has got a passion in leading the issue of women, she has got a passion in fighting for the rights of women, we gave her an opportunity. We gave an opportunity, and we even went on to give a seat under the manical and proportional representation. So the door is open. Maybe what I can say is they must reach us. They must reach us, and we'll help each other on the way to go to say, what else can we do? Because as a party, we are also cautious to say, there's this kind of, infiltration. We are like they are with us when they are not with us. So those security checks as a party, we can also go through it, because we cannot just say, here is Lynette Karenyi, who just wants to be a candidate. All of a sudden, that person becomes a candidate. It will be very, very difficult as a party, because you know very well we have got those kind of situation in our party, where you take this person as if that person is genuinely coming to you to join you. After winning the city, that person will go and say, I'm now joining the other party. So we are also cautious in those kind of things. But for those who are genuinely for the cause of the MDC, those who share the same ideology with us, can they please reach us? Especially those young women, we know very well some are coming from the student movement, some are coming from the business sector, some are coming from the civic society. The door is very open. They can approach our offices, our desk individually, or our secretary for local government, and also our secretary general, my office, or the office of Honorable Mugido. So I will say we welcome everyone, but we are also very, very careful to just embrace Munangoya from Norway, because you know very well good as if we are together when that person is coming maybe for another agenda. So that person, if they go and be successful from our security check, then we can work together. But our doors are very open. Those who want to work with us, the time is still there. They must come and approach us. We'll help each other. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, VP. I see we have been joined by Noah and other speakers. So Noah, if you can go ahead with your contribution, then SC, you are back. You can then take it on.
Thank you so much, Doug Force. And I want to thank you, VP, for your articulate explanations, and it's indeed very encouraging the way you're supporting the women. And I know Tadini had asked, I think on his questions only, I think he touched on so many other aspects. And then he had asked about the youth. And I'm not going to reiterate on that one. I think I have an indifference whether the women or the men are fewer in parliament or are men. I would rather have an indifference. What much more pre-consumes me is you were talking about capacitation of these suitable candidates. But my worry, which I think is the worry of every Zimbabwean, is how best will you be doing it to ensure such a very disappointing, agonizing scenario happens where we end up having MPs, maybe councillors, who are good for their tummies, not for the community, not for the poor. How are you going I'm not sure what, how can I put it, kuti tingavawane sei vanhu ava vanenge vasiri, because even I heard you well, Comrade VP, when you tried to be cautious in terms of saying candidates needs to be clearly vetted, and maybe like throwing the live snake to the new Mafikizolos. But sadly, what we have seen, even so disappointingly, we have seen that those that we thought were seniors, those that we thought would rest our case, would put all the struggle and the war in their hands, are the same people who have disappointed us as the citizens by deciding to trade for their tummies. I think I can say. So what are we going to do? And then lastly, rather, which is more important, I think in you capacitating those suitable candidates, let me say that I'm sure you must take cognizance of this fact that the rushed or ambushed way of selection of candidates that we have always seen happening, I think, in that other party, ZANU-PF. I'm hoping you are trying by all your means to do everything that you are doing so that the implementation that the other woman had asked Ella is done well ahead. It is more important, I believe, for the selection to be done with before anything else. If we have failing candidates, we see them whilst they are still potential candidates that have been nominated and selected in time, than to ambush everybody to say, no, we are not going to campaign until when it's the final way to go. And then it's like we are ambushing people. I think that's my question, Honorable VP.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much, Noah. VP, I think let me take on another question. And then if hopefully you are writing it down so that we can try to just bunch it up. SC, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you very much. So I think this platform has just shown that it's not a secret that our society is highly patriarchal. So my question to the speakers is that, what is it that you're doing to like around male engagement? Because I think what we should be really focusing on is to shift norms, even attitudes and public opinions, to acknowledge the 50-50 gender equality issue at party level. We may have the senior male leadership and other structures embracing this idea, but I believe that the people who have the collective power to influence the primary or national election results through their voting pattern is the voter themselves. So what is it that is being done at the local level? That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. VP, you can take on those two.
Thank you very much. I will start with the last one. What we are doing currently is at each level, this gender task force is going to make sure that they will engage all the structures. In our structure, we have got the structure for the main wing, the women, and the youth. So what we have agreed is, it's not only the issue of capacitating the candidates alone. It is also the issue of engaging our structures to buy in the idea of including women, so that when we go to them, already vanenge vakutotinzwisisa to say, for sure, we need to include women. Because the issue here is, we have realized that we cannot do it as women alone. So we have to walk side by side with the varume vacho. So the good part of it is, this gender task force was not a brainchild from the Women's Assembly or from the young women. It was an idea which was brought in by our main wing, our male colleagues, where they said, no. I think historically we have been trying to run these elections, but women are not forthcoming. What's the reason? And we sat down and we discovered the reason. Those were the reason they konzeresa kuti madzimai asaita come up to contest. So this is what we are now trying by all means to make sure that we also remove those barriers dzinoita kuti madzimai asakwikwidze. So when we go now to the grassroots, that's where we are now going to say, tanzwanana here, are we now moving per same page? So we have to go and engage them, todzidzisana, tobvumirana kuti for sure women were behind. So let's now give them a bit of some support, so that they also come together. Now I will go to the other two questions. The first one is about the issue of the candidates. How are we going to make sure kuti munu uyu or aita candidate abva kuvanhu? We are saying this time, be assured, we are not going to go to the constituents for imposition. We are going to engage the local communities first. It's only that we were disadvantaged by the pandemic. We had agreed and we had our resolution and our work plan, and our work plan was very clear. We had agreed that we are not going to do the primaries tichimanya. Our calendar was very clear kuti by 2022 tofanonga tani candidates. The reason was, firstly, so that we also engage vanhu zvakanaka, so that we go in time. We involve traditional leaders, we involve business community, we involve civic society, we involve every sector in that ward. So those people will give us a popular candidate. Previously, the candidates were coming from the party structures. But now we are now saying, no, 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 no. The reason why people have managed to manipulate the system is people could go down there and manipulate the structures. So we are now saying, let's go back to those words. Let's go back to those constituencies. We have to include everyone. So we are going to go the whole country, engaging people, and people will speak to say, in this community, I think so and so is the best candidate. So that candidate is going to come from the community, not from the leadership only. So I think we have tried to broaden in the issue and the idea of candidate selection to put it in a way where people will not blame to say this was from the party. So the issue again of kuzomanya kunoita macandidates, I will assure you, kuti, if things goes well, I don't know kuti Mwari achatitira zvakadii in terms of this pandemic, but if things were okay, I think we were going to meet our target, because we had agreed that by 2022, all candidates were supposed to be in place to make sure that we also allow them to go to their constituencies in their wards to make sure that Vanoita popularize with the community. And I will underline the issue to say, we are not going to take candidates from the party or structures, but we are going to take the candidate from the community. Because the issue is, after engaging the community, if you go to the business community, what Chimuti is able. If you go to the women groups, what Chimuti is able. If you go to the, and if that name continue to come from the people, that will be the candidate from the people. So they are going to be coming from the grassroots and from the community, not from the party alone, because chakatanga ndo chakachenjeza. We have made a mistake, and the president was on air to apologize, to say, for sure, the issue of candidate selection, we have now realized that we have made a lot of mistakes. And we are now correcting those mistakes to say, the people who have to choose from the community, not from the party. So I will assure you, good, this time around, we will not do it takumanya. Again, that person is not going to come from us. It is going to come from the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, VP. You're definitely not leaving any stones unturned. I'm grateful that we have been joined by other speakers, and we also have the national chairperson, Mr. Obey Sitole. If you can take the mic, and if you have any contributions, please feel free to grace us.
Okay, thank you very much for according me this opportunity to say just a few words. I think mine is going to be a little bit of a contribution because, of course, what is being said is a product of the institution that I belong to. So I don't have questions in this regard. But perhaps I would just want to start by applauding our VP, Madame Kore, for, taking the message to the people. Obviously, everyone who's listening here and the people that they interact with will realize and understand what kind of a creature MDC Alliance is. And I would also want to applaud the entire team, the task force, for the great work that they are doing, because then it proves beyond any reasonable doubt that MDC Alliance is the only part that is serious about what it believes in. We definitely and certainly walk the talk, because if you focus and take a look into our constitution under the character and culture, which is Article 4, there are aspects that we talk about, and part of the aspects that I espoused there, I talk about supporting women participation at the level of 50-50, and also we speak about emancipating the women who belong to our dear country, Zimbabwe. And this is just an indication to those who might still have some doubts that our party is the only party that walks the talk. We just do not talk, but we actually live what we say. And it is a clear indication again that we are unlike others who are definitely allergic to constitutionalism, but instead we walk the talk. But maybe also to speak a bit on, I heard someone who spoke around the question of, why are we doing and why are we having this task force in existence? I think one of the things that needs to be made clear is that it's yet another evidence that we are, as an institution, we are allergic to mentorruption, whereby we see men, disturbing the existence of the other gender, the other sex. But in this case, it is beyond doubt that we have an institution that creates safe space for women, for them to participate and, of course, reach their maximum potential in terms of leadership. Because we don't take women as a lesser sex, but instead we take them as a proper human beings, because they are human beings, just that we are defined differently by the spellings that are meant to define us, where others are called male, others are called female. So the only difference is about the two letters that come before, male. But nonetheless, we remain the same and we remain human beings. Then someone also asked around, why do we have to empower and capacitate women? Why do we have to have this task force? I think the response that I want also to contribute, I know it might have been talked about, is that, as a country, we have suffered huge blows in the past when it comes to the, women participation in terms of leadership. So if these societal expectations that are born out of patriarchy, which is also a sad reality of our country. So patriarch then, relegate women to the peripheries of political participation on the basis that this is for men, so you must not be participating. And also we have laws that are not permitting the participation of women. So I think that is the dark past that we've been subjected to. We should now take this opportunity to change. So we cannot continue to live in the past. This is why you see our party has decided to come up with this task force that is going to be spearheading a new culture, to create a new normal, whereby we go beyond the societal expectation that limit the participation of women as if they do not have capacity. They also have the capacity to lead. What they only need is the space for them to be participating. And secondly, also we must also look at the demographics. We have more women than men, and statistics confirms that. I've not been a good person with figures like you, Jessica, but I know that we have more female than male. So we still need them in terms of decision making, because always there's this a popular adage which says, and nothing for us without us. So in this case, I also believe that we can't have women-centered policies without women taking part in the policy formulation. So be it in local governance, be it in parliament, we need more women so that we have a just society where policies that are also favoring the existence and the participation and also the leadership of women are enacted into law. So this is the reason why we need this culture. And I feel that I also need to indicate that, because there was a friend who asked such questions on why do we have to have it, and why do we need it. And also it needs to be underlined that capacitating women and saying women must be able to lead does not necessarily mean that we are downplaying the existence of male. We can coexist all as human beings and still come up with things that favor the country Zimbabwe, which we are so dearly looking towards to work for. So in that regard, I would like to thank you once again for this opportunity to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think we have also been joined by other speakers, because our time was supposed to be from 7 to 8, but seeing to it that we are almost reaching 9, I will just ask the VP for another 30 minutes, and I will ask every person that has a question to keep it to a minimum of 1 minute. Sorry, to keep it to a maximum of 1 minute. If we can do that, it will be helpful, so that the 8 requests that are here will all have a chance, and the VP will have a chance to at least answer you. Thank you so much. I pursue, you can go ahead with your question, and then perhaps Youngstone, you can also ask after that, then the VP will take on the 2. I pursue. You can unmute your mic. All right, Youngstone, you can go ahead.
Thank you very much for giving me this time to speak on this very, very good space. I would like to thank the Women Assembly for coming up with this very brilliant idea of creating a gender task force that will spearhead this 50-50 policy of the party. My worry is with the COVID regulations that we have in place right now, SANPF might use the lockdown to limit the movement of our members. So I just want to know from the VP if we have these task forces at provincial level and at district level or constituency level, so that they will quickly implement the program before we reach to 2023. That is my question. Thank you.
That is a great question. But before the VP can answer that, Chipameso, if you can also ask your question, then the VP can take on the two.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to ask the question. From what I heard from the VP, she's talking about a bottom-up sort of approach. But the situation on the ground is that people have become so vulnerable in terms of financially, such that if you go to the constituencies, for example, my mother lives in Murewa, and if you ask her what sort of candidate she would vote for, she'll say, oh, I'll vote for Vanon supporter, Vanemari. So I'm just thinking a situation like what we have on the ground now would force people to still vote for people that are financially able, but that may not have their interests at heart. And we might end up with a similar situation. And the other question that I wanted to ask the VP was, how are you going to ensure that there are strategies in place that ensure that people on the ground are empowered, or women on the ground are empowered in order to be able to empower others, or in order to be able to feed the communities? Because what I think is the problem at the moment is people are bound to support those who are able to provide for them financially. So for this, I'm thinking, have you ever thought of any strategies, like very, very, very cheap strategies that you can use in order to ensure that women, like women leaders, have something at hand that they can go and help their constituencies with? Thank you.
Thank you very much. The VP can take on the two.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I will start with the last question. We have started some programs of livelihoods. In our party, we have got the secretary for projects and secretary for the livelihoods. And in this, we are saying we are not the party in government. We are still not yet in government, but we have got other little things where we think we can do our best and make sure that we also encourage our women to participate in the issue of entrepreneurship. So we have got some of the programs like the issue of Mikando, where women are also participating in doing their clubs to make sure that they raise some few resources to capacitate them. And we have got some other programs where we are doing the issue of gardening, where we will provide some seeds to make sure that they also earn a living out of those programs. So the programs are there, though they are not enough, because we are not yet in that position to say we have got so many resources, so much resources, I mean, but we are trying our level best. And we know very well that we have already moved from that kind of saying, tinongoenda tichingonotaura nekudi, but we have now agreed to say, let's also do something in terms of our livelihoods, on our structures, and also our community. So we have already started, and we are trying our level best, and we also welcome those who have got that kind of ideas of how best can we help our women out there. We always ask for those who want to partner with us in that kind of collaboration, to say we cannot do it alone. We also need some kind of help. We also need some kind of partners who can partner with us, so that we also capacitate our own society. I want to go to the other question which she asked about the issue of Mama Kumaruzeva. They will end up kuzongoti, I will vote for someone anemari. We are saying, I think we must change our culture. We must also change our mindset to think that those who have got money are the only one wanofanira kupinda into power. I think we have learned a lesson kuti tine vazhinji vakatakapa these kind of positions who have betrayed us. But the fact that we have now decided to shift it from the old mentality, we go to the people in the structures. We thought maybe if we go to the community, people would think of that person who have got people at heart. Take, for example, if you go down to Chimanimani West constituents, there are people out there who have got this kind of behavior. If I've got money, I will go to the people, don't know one. But this time we are saying, we have got other people out there who always go to the constituents to help. Those people are being identified. They are being identified by the people. We are now saying, if you strongly feel that Karenyi is the best candidate, then people must go and approach Karenyi to be their candidates, not Karenyi going to them and ask for their votes. So we are now going to say to the people, you have to identify, not the candidate to identify himself or herself to the electorate. Let it be a turnaround where we say, we strongly feel that Peter is the best candidate. Why don't we go and approach Peter? If I remember very well, in those old days, people were not even in a capacity to say, I want to go there and be a candidate. But people used to go and approach in a community because they know people with good reputations. They know people with this kind of moyo inoda kushanda. They will go and approach. If I remember very well, like in 2000, 2005 and the like, people would say, inina andikwanisi kuita candidate. But people would say, but we have seen good qualities in you. You have been always with us. You have been working with us. Why don't you represent us in this constituency? So this is where we are coming from. And this is what the president is always saying, to say, why don't people identify themselves with the candidate, not the candidate going to ask for them to vote for them. So we are preaching this gospel to say, don't you please change your mindset. Why don't you identify this person has got people at heart? At local level. So that is going to be the best way to choose our candidates. I will go to the first question, where they said, what are you going to do? Because like the issue, COVID, karambairiko and the like. I will say, we have got this pandemic COVID, and at the moment, they are allowing 100 people to meet. And we are going to use that kind of opportunity, because we are going to focus on polling station based, not on the ward level only. So those constituents are going down to the issue of triple Cs. The triple Cs will go to the polling station, based polling station, voters row, I mean. So that polling station is going to participate in on the issue of candidate selection. So if you have got 10 polling stations in a ward, those 10 polling stations are going to be allowed an opportunity to participate and make sure that they will come up with the best candidate. So we are going to use that, and I think if we go down to the issue of devolution and go down to the grassroots at branch polling station, I think we can achieve our goal, because this pandemic, maybe we can go with it up to 2023, but we also need to come up with candidates. So we'll go to that polling station and consult people, because we cannot wait until 2023. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, VP. Can we have Philippa Tsuro to ask your question, and then Zimbabwean Lives Matter or Loza, you can then ask your question. If you can keep it under a minute, that would be appreciated. Thank you.
Hi, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity and for organizing this. Thank you to Madam Kore for her very good presentation. My question, she kind of answered the question with what she spoke just now. Just wanted to say that for the issue of, our parents in the rural areas choosing somebody who is rich, it's all about training and teaching people what it is that they should look at in a candidate. If people are told and taught, people will know the criteria to look at. Right now, people don't know that information. So together with this training they're doing, they can also train people on what about democracy. So it's also important people to know about democracy, what they can expect from the government, what they can expect from their MP, so they can challenge them and expect results. And also, it's very important for them to know that you don't need to be rich. The way I see it is that an MP is a representative, they're a middle person, they're a facilitator. They stand in between the government and the people. So they're just helping bring whatever needs to be brought to the community from the government. So they don't have to be rich, because the money is not coming from them. They're just facilitating and uniting the government and the people. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Zimbabwean Lives Matter, you can go ahead. Zimbabwean Lives Matter, you can unmute your mic and speak. Okay, Rich Chavi, you can go ahead, and then I Pursue, you can speak after that.
Thank you very much. Happy to see that the leadership is here. Greatly appreciate the presentation by the esteemed Honorable Vice President of this greatest movement in Zimbabwe. Mine is a very short contribution on the presentation that has been made. I think that I want to also just emphasize the importance of the party to do the process of candidate selection well in advance. Why is it important? I am happy that the president over the weekend in Bulawayo emphasized that aspect, Honorable Vice President. The challenges that we face on that phase of our internal democratic processes are very huge from experience. It is very, very important that we understand and appreciate that one of the contributing factors that leads to our failure to achieve, victory in some of the constituencies is besides generally the issue of mobilization, there is one aspect that is emerging, the issue of the quality of candidates. So the issue of quality of the candidates can only be managed if we as a party embark on this process well in advance. And also the issue of community involvement that you have emphasized, it's actually a great move, because the issue of structures alone, I think from experience, some of the structures get biased. The issue of, rich people approaching, members of the party, sometimes, it affects a lot in terms of the quality of candidates. So given the challenges that we have faced as a party to date, challenges around infiltration, the issue of, embarking on this candidate selection process well in advance becomes paramount. So if you check also the presentations that have been made, especially for Matabeleland, during the deliberations on this platform by people like Zenzele, it gives you an understanding that the issue of candidates is a very important aspect, because you can actually agree with me, Honorable Vice President, that the candidate selection process is one phase that is very difficult in the management of the internal processes in various political parties, including ourselves, because it is that time when infiltration takes place. It is that time when the party must realize and be able to identify people who have unbridled ambitions, people who are in the party for positions. It is that time that infiltration takes place. We have people who just say, if I don't get this position to be a candidate, it's either me or nothing, proceeds. It is very important, Honorable Vice President, that we cannot wait until last minute if we are to involve the community, because it will be a very long process. Because what you are actually doing is you are going to consult the community, not only party structures. Party structures are there, but they should communicate, just coordinate. But community must be involved, and that's
Okay,
when you realize people who are dedicated. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rich. I'm sure the Vice President has taken note of that. I pursue, if you can go ahead, if it's a question or contribution, please try to keep it to under a minute.
Sure. Thank you, Ms. Host. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Greetings, fellow citizens and patriots, Mama VP, Kore, SG, and all present. Thank you. My words are that we need for more action than rhetoric. There has been rhetoric from way back. The 1960s, we heard that they banned bras and all those things for their rights, the women did. 1975, 1995, there was the Beijing conference. And today we're still talking of the possibility of equitable play on the political platform. We agree. It has been consistently and demonstrated globally that the underrepresentation of women in political and decision-making positions has an adverse effect on national development as a whole, consequently resulting from gender disparities and their ramifications manifested, for instance, in inequities in legal rights, power sharing, decision-making, as well as access to and control of productive resources. For example, my question is coming from here. For example, we have some national and regional quotas that have to be met. For example, the Zimbabwe Constitution allows for the representation of the disabled, who include women. And also, for example, we have SADC, that's more like a regional thing. They say 30% representation of women in parliament. And I observed that this task force on this MDC initiative we're talking about needs to get women motivated and prepared so that they are put forward for positions and to maintain this balance. But my question is, how is this going to be? How is it going to be done? How are you going to balance this? Because I know men will still want to come up, because we remember we are in a patriarchal society. And also, my part of the question was, an earlier speaker mentioned of the involvement of men. Yes, we agree. We'll go with our men, right? So there is a great need to have indabas, padares, and seminars aimed at sensitizing men in decision-making bodies on gender issues. May I ask Madam Kore how these challenges are going to be addressed? Thank you very much for giving me the floor.
All right, thank you so much. If the VP can just allow me, I hope you have a pen and paper. If you can just allow me to take maybe 2 more questions, and then you can answer the 3. And also, I see a lot more requests that are coming in. Unfortunately, I might not.
VP, you can go ahead whilst we are waiting for our host to come back.
Okay, thank you very much. I think our last speaker, she asked about the question. I think she joined us maybe after I've already answered that, but maybe to assure her that you said, how are we going to make sure that we implement? We have said we have got some resolutions, and the party has agreed to make sure that we have 50-50 representation at local level. The reason why we are going to implement it in a way which is different